busy time around the courthouse this time of year, but it's been a quiet time around the courthouse the last couple. Well, kind of.
Well,
For the public.
To the public and to the employees, yes, but they're making a little noise inside, doing some demolition work, and it's going great. We'll be back in the courthouse next Monday, 8:30. The doors will be open. If you have to do business at courthouse, you might want to wait till the afternoon because the offices that are scattered around the various places can't move back till Monday morning. So,
Okay.
So it'll be limited what they can do in the morning, but they will be open, if you have to get in there.
So everything's on schedule and.
They're actually ahead of schedule.
Oh, great.
Wonderful.
They thought they'd have to, take right to Saturday and Sunday of this week to be ready because we told them you get 2 weeks. That's it. If you're not done, you're just going to have to do second shift, and then they got to clean up every day from making the major mess.
Right.
Well, the major mess is done, and they're actually doing other stuff that in preparation, putting holes through above the ceiling where the ceiling will be for running ductwork and so forth. So the real loud stuff.
Yeah.
That otherwise I'll have to do second shift. So it's going great. Windows are almost done.
Wow.
So there's ductwork everywhere. So if you want to see what the 1950s courthouse was like,
Yeah.
before the ceiling get put in,
Yes.
now'll be the time to come to the courthouse when we're open back up.
Well, it's going to be a big difference to this winter, isn't it?
Oh, it'll be huge. The windows will be a big help with the heat loss and everything. And I know I have one right to my back at my desk, and it can get a little chilly sometimes.
Yeah, a little chilly, huh?
Sometimes with a draft coming through the window, even though it's shut.
Yikes.
If the wind's really blowing or something.
Absolutely.
You got one of those porcelain heaters down there just to keep you warm. Well, it'd be there's stories you guys would share where in the wintertime somebody would have their windows open because it was too hot. Somebody else in another part of the building they were freezing.
Freezing.
Yeah, hot air rises, so the third floor they're cooking up there and got their windows open, and the ground floor and the first floor where we're at, it might be comfortable, or you may be a little on the chilly side.
Oh no, we completely understand. All those ladies downstairs at the bank, all that hot air rises, so we only set the thermostat to 50, and it warms up to about 70. So we get it.
Understandable.
Yeah.
You can relate.
Yeah. So that's going well. And what's next in terms of that project? Is this a certain phase? Do you move on to something else, or?
Well, it's continuing with the ventilation. Okay. Like I said, the windows will be done here pretty soon. The ramp, the ADA ramp we put outside, the only thing we're waiting on is the railings to be put on, and then that'll be done. So the ventilation is supposed to be done by the end of the year. So the rate they're going, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. They got set new rooftop units. We went up and looked at that yesterday, and they've got all the bases there ready to go. And
great.
we got the old one lifted off a couple weeks ago, and got a lot of the holes cut through the floor where they had to make cuts in the floor, and like where the current finance office is, what used to be the clerk of courts, they had to cut through the floor above and their ceiling so they could run a chase up through to bring, because actually the air is coming down from above from the units on the roof, and then so there's a lot of work being done, but it'll be great when it's
all wrapped up. Yeah. Well, speaking of wrapping things up, I think we spoke to you guys in September, right after the fair, but that was like right after. Have there been wrap-up meetings? What's been the overall sort of finality of this year's fair?
Well, the final report won't come out until December.
Okay.
Because there's still bills coming in all the time, but it's looking good that the fair, hopefully, should be in the black this year. Not
Excellent.
huge, but
Yeah.
anytime a fair is in the black, it's a good thing.
Yep, absolutely.
Because a lot of times you're hopeful just to break even. So it looks like they're going to make a couple bucks. The ride company was great. That worked out good for the first time ever that I can remember. And I have been around for all 76 fairs, but over half of them. Not that I knew a lot years ago, but it's the first time I ever know of that the ride company actually paid the fair board to be there.
That's
Oh,
wonderful.
wow.
They brought in more money.
That's great.
There was a guarantee, I guess you might call it, that this is a cost for them to come.
Sure.
they sold all the ride tickets, and they said if we don't sell enough tickets to pay that, then you just pay us the difference. And if it goes over, then the fair got, I don't remember what the percentage is. I'll say 25%. I don't know if that's exactly right or not, but they got 25% of anything above that ceiling, and they actually got a check from the ride company at the end of the week.
That's great.
And there was some really good reviews from that ride company. People were raving about it.
Yeah,
that I talked to.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job. They were always busy.
Quality, high quality.
And kept things clean. And we always do an inspection with our assurance advisor the Friday before the fair, or if enough rides are set up, which they were this time. And
Sure.
he was very impressed with this new ride company that we have.
Excellent.
And how well they take care of the equipment. So we were fortunate to get them lined up last January when we were down at the fair convention, because at that time some of the local fairs still didn't have. I know Warren County didn't have one yet. They were hoping to get the same company we did because it's convenient, because they're just
Sure.
before Crawford, but the ride company was coming from somewhere else. They couldn't take care of Warren, but
That's right. Kathy Rapp's still crying about that.
Is she?
Yeah, a little.
she'll get over it.
Yeah. I can just picture you as a little boy standing in line waiting for your ice cream, though, at the fair. Yeah, some things just
Every
never
night.
change. Yeah. Just like a young Christopher Soft waiting to get his kettle corn. You know? There are just some things you just they just don't change. So.
Yeah, that was my concern, of course, whether they were going to have the ice cream open. And fair didn't officially start till Monday, although there was things on Sunday. Of course, the big concert with Darcy Lynn was on Sunday, and then Saturday they had the judging of the home products and sewing, canning, those pies, baking,
Oh, wow.
all that kind of stuff, and had the pie auction and other baked good auction Saturday as usual. And there was questionable whether the ice cream would be open Saturday or they'd wait till Sunday, because they didn't know how many people would be there. Well, after the auction is over, I go over to the fair office, and Eric comes down. He said, "Eating an ice cream cone."
He said, what is
I said,
Eric?
"You didn't tell me." I said, "Well, I'm going to go over, and Cheryl should be done, I think, with what she's doing, and I'll get her, and we'll go get her ice cream." So I go over to the camper to get my wife. She's eating an ice cream.
They've all had it but you.
Yeah, nobody tells me.
You're suffering.
Yeah.
The one thing he's really looking
Of course, I
Yeah.
still got my ice cream.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Wow.
And I didn't miss any days. Once in a while, I don't get there before they close, and I'm a unhappy camper. But
But you
it
got
didn't happen this year.
Good. Now, is it one of those things where you wait for that final report, or the board does, before they start planning? I mean, like seriously planning for next year, or are there certain things they can go ahead and get started on?
Oh, it's already in the works. They've talked about possible concerts for next year. They're talking about with area Ministerium Association. I probably didn't say that exactly right, but there's several churches interested in sponsoring a Christian concert, because we didn't have one this year. And if they can get a sponsorship, then they'll have a good quality concert. And I
Absolutely.
think there's a good chance that's going to happen. I can't say names, but they've already got some names thrown out to them as possible country acts for next year.
Wow.
Don't know for sure if they'll do 2 concerts, but if they can get enough sponsorship for the Christian one, then there's a good chance there'll be 2. They've worked with sponsorships for the fair, either buildings or even days of the fair already for this year, or someone said, "Yeah, we definitely want
Yep.
next year. We didn't do it this year, but we want to." So, things are moving along, and they're always looking at improvements to be made at the fairgrounds. So,
Well, I submitted my CD, and for the same price that you could get a major act, I would be willing to do 3 shows for that price. I'm just saying. So,
I'll put a good word in
yeah,
for
if
you.
you could help
Luke.
me out with that, I'd appreciate it. It seems like everybody, and rightly so, talks about the fair and how much fun it is end of the summer, and then it's like you get through that, and it's right back to elections and preparing for November. It's right
Absolutely.
around the corner. How much are you involved in getting that work? We know Christopher spends a lot of time on that side of things as well, but it just seems like it never ends. It's primary or general election. It's always going on.
You have maybe a month in between each of those cycles that it's not that there isn't things to do, but it's not so rushed feeling.
Gotcha.
But yesterday, after our meeting was over, no, I guess Christopher said at the end of our work session that 5,000 mail-in ballots have been sent out. Wow. That they've had requested and gotten mailed out to the people. So I don't know. I think they're just about caught up with what requests they've had, but you still have time to do that yet. So, they're busy. The voters department and Christopher, they went up to the public safety building in the emergency operations room to set up, and that's where people can come and request an absentee or mail-in ballot or register to vote or anything, just like they would when we're at the courthouse. So they've been very busy up there, and the elections is real busy. We'll be doing what we call the LNA testing of the equipment. That's the last week of October. That's where we set up and charge the batteries for everything and make sure everything's working correctly, because the next week first early November, end of October, that week there is when the ballot equipment and everything will go out to all the precincts. It takes about a week to get it out to all of them. So that'll be going on, and poll worker trainings at next to last week, full week of October. So yeah, there's plenty going on.
In that regard, is there a need for poll workers? And what about locations? Are they the same as what they were in the spring?
Yeah, the locations, as far as I know, definitely in Titusville and pretty much everywhere across the county is at the same location it was in the spring. We are still looking at consolidating some of the precincts in Titusville, putting a couple together and bringing it down to maybe 3 or 4 precincts instead of the number we have now. And that's partly due to the numbers and partly due to, and it's not just Titusville, we're looking at the same thing in Meadville.
Right.
It's the poll workers, like you mentioned.
Gotcha.
We always need help with poll workers. Some of the high schools, Titusville included, do a great job of having students that are interested that will help at the polls. And the poll workers, the adults are there, they just love those students because, let's face it, anything with running electronics.
Yeah,
they know
way
their
more.
stuff.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
And a lot of our poll workers are, my age or even older. Hard to believe.
You can't have county employees work in the polls, correct?
That's correct. We used to be able to,
Yeah.
but then now we can't have any county employees working at the polls.
You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel and listening to it on the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. Crawford County Commissioner Francis Weiderspahn Jr. joining us here this morning. Nice catching up with him. And you're into the budget season, which I know you absolutely love. How much of this time of year is kind of mapped out already because you continue to have conversations with department heads throughout the year? Does it make that easier, or is it still a challenge to get through the next couple months?
It's helpful because we do have those conversations, and we've already told people, prepare your budgets, but don't try to put a bunch of extra money in there because we're not raising taxes. With everything the people's went through with COVID and everything, we're not going to do that. So you're going to have to toe the line, or the commissioners will be the bad guys if we have to, and pull things out if you don't. They've been very good over the years. Last year they did a great job, and they got the budget down where it needed to be, and I'm sure we'll get there again. We'll be starting the budget meetings. I believe next week we have a few of them starting, and we map out every day from 9 to 4 for budget meetings around our other weekly meetings we have all the time, and then they can punch in when they're available, put it on our schedule, and the 3 commissioners and the CFO will meet with the department head or elected official of that office, and maybe their deputy with them, and go over the budget, and they can explain what's in their budget, especially if there's some increases or whatever, or even think areas where they can decrease, which that happens too.
Sure.
thankfully. So
How much?
usually it goes pretty well.
Is there a fear with how prices have been in the last 6 months or more that there's going to be some difficult decisions to make?
Oh, yeah, I have no doubt about that. You know, the cost of materials, especially anything like on maintenance end, and even CYS traveling. You know, with the price of fuel being what it is, it's different than it was a couple of years ago. Granted, we only have to pay a third of that, but basically, but because
still
it's
goes
state
up,
and
though.
federal, but it's still an increase from what it was before. And those that have to travel to a conference or something, those prices go up.
Oh, yeah.
And cost of living for people. And right now we're in the middle of negotiations with 7 different unions that there are in the county, and we're not close to settling any yet. But their expectation and the commissioners is not on the same page just yet. I'll leave
We're
it at
working
that.
on it, though.
That's
We're
the
working on it.
negotiation, right?
Yeah, and that's part of negotiations with anything. But,
Yep.
we got to narrow that gap yet.
Well, it's challenging, and it is time consuming to go and do that. And you have all these departments coming to you, and for those for each department, it's all important for them.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So it does make a challenge. And I can't imagine if you would have, if we could go back to last year when you were working on the budget, and we said, hey, guess what gas prices are going to be in a year. I don't know if you would have ever have guessed over the summer what they peaked at.
Exactly.
It would have been
and who knows for
difficult.
2023.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
It just, you make your best estimated guess and hope you're somewhere in the ballpark. And then sometimes through the year, if they get close to maxing out on a particular line item in their budget, then they may have, they're instructed, go back and look at your budget. Maybe something you're not expecting to spend what you had in there and move it from one line item to the other. We're not increasing your budget, but you got to find
Work
somewhere
within
else to
it.
pull. Yes, exactly.
When the three of you are doing that, is it do you all sort of take different parts of the budget and figure it out, or do you all together kind of work through the whole thing?
It's all three of us and the
Okay.
CFO at every budget meeting, unless there's something that one of us can't be there. I mean, knock on wood, so far this October has been great for myself and my wife, but it seemed like we've had different things in October that I'm doing it from the couch
Oh no.
when I had my hip replaced. She had a knee done, and they were in October, so
Oh, boy.
I'm on the phone, and they email me the information, and we do it that way. But
When there's an emergency like that, do you call Eric Henry directly and he takes you by ambulance? Or
well, funny you say that. That's happened twice in the last year.
are you serious? Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know.
But the scary thing was, and they warned me the last time. Of course, we live in Cochrane area,
Sure.
and that's the area the coroner lives in. And he's a member of the fire department in Cochrane. And they said, Scott Shell's coming.
Uh-oh.
Oh
No, we don't want that.
I said, okay. Before he walked through the door, I made sure I was standing up. I said, I am not looking up at you in a horizontal position.
No. Scary stuff, man.
Yep.
Well,
But it's wonderful to have him there and his ambulance service, because there's a lot of areas in the county that don't have any.
Sure.
And they've been going around and meeting with various municipalities to see if they would help support EMS in the county. And he was actually, just by coincidence, was at Fairfield Township that I live in, and that was the first township that said they would commit part of their millage to help support EMS in Crawford County.
Phenomenal.
boy, that's a whole other conversation.
Yes, it
Volunteer
is.
fire departments and just
absolutely.
the needs. There's some real trouble there. Good to see you this morning.
Great to
Thanks
be
for your
here.
time. Give everybody our best,
I absolutely will.
and hopefully your family's doing well. And we look forward to catching up with you again real soon.
Sounds good.
Absolutely.
All right, Crawford County
Appreciate it.
Commissioner Francis Weiderspahn Jr. joining us here this morning.